with different lecture series as far as research orientation is concerned. So, as usual, I myself, Dr. Mahendra Patai, head of the University Research Department, taking care as a coordinator for the session. Moderator Dr. Sandeep Kadu sir, who is a control of examination, who is monitoring the session. We will introduce the speakers by Dr. Shrunkala Kaushik. Interactive session will be taken care by Dr. Vaibhav Aher. So here just briefly the today's sessions, what we are going to discuss, that is the critical process of identifying the appropriate journal for their work and navigation and submission process very much effectively. So there is a something discussion point of view where our speaker will guide us how to select the right journal and not to enhance the visibility and impact of the research, but also improve the chance of timely acceptance, because that is the main issue what we many times come across by taking care of so many efforts. So here I would like to request Dr. Shunkala to once again that introduce our speaker, please. Dr. Shunkala, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Namaskar to everyone. And it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam. Dr. Betsy Madam is an internationally accomplished academician, researcher, and scientific leader with over 17 years of global experience spanning clinical practice, academia, and healthcare research. Dr. Betsy Madam currently serves as a director and scientific lead at Integra Research Craft LLP India. In addition, Dr. Betsy Madam holds academic affiliations with University of Helsinki, Finland, and Savita Dental College, SIMATS, India. Dr. Betsy Madam is widely recognized for her outstanding contributions in the field of periodontics, regenerative therapies, evidence synthesis, and scientific communication. With over 70 publications in reputed international journals, Dr. Betsy Madam has significantly contributed to advancing research quality and translational science. Dr. Betsy Madam's academic excellence has been honored with prestigious fellowships including FICD, FPFA, and MFDS RCPS Glasgow. Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam has also successfully led several international research collaborations and funded projects, demonstrating her commitment to innovation and global scientific partnership. Beyond her impressive credentials, Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam is known for her passion for mentoring, capacity building, and promoting high standards in research and publication ethics. We are truly honored and privileged to have you with us, Madam, yet again. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam. Over to you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrinkala ma'am, for your warm welcome once again. And thank you, Mahendra sir, for the introduction. Today, we will have a discussion on journal selection and submission strategies. I'm sharing my screen, ma'am. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. This is the third topic in our series of publishing healthcare research in high impact journals. Over the last few weeks, we looked at how to plan your research, how to prepare your manuscript, how to responsibly do scientific writing, considering ethics, plagiarism concepts, and how to use AI in your research of various steps of your research. Today, now we will see how to submit your research, how to select the journal, and how to submit it. So let's see how to identify predatory journals and keep them away from us. What are the 5 steps we can incorporate in our selection process, and how to navigate through the submission process. And of course, we'll end today's session, like always, with your queries. But first, we will see the scenario of predatory journals. I hope you're familiar with this research scholar, Mr. X. Let's call him Mr. X. He has paid $1,000 as article processing charges to a journal which is supposed to be called this imaginary name, International Journal, which promised him that his paper would be published in 10 days. And what happened? After accepting the money and publishing his paper, the journal disappeared after 6 months. The university did not accept his PhD. Money gone, time wasted, huge loss. Many of you would have heard of some incidences like this. So this is to why did I tell this incidents? Why did I tell you the story? So that you know about the existence of the scam called predatory journal scam. These are nothing but deceptive journals. These are for-profit entities which are exploiting the open access model. They do not have a legitimate editorial team or a review process or archiving services. A lot of academicians and researchers every year fall prey to this and face a lot of losses. So, first, when you are thinking of submitting your paper to a journal, your research work to a journal, most important is to identify a credible journal and not to submit your research to any of the predatory journals. So, when you open our emails, very often we get letters like this. Look at it. An email coming from a weird email ID, not a proper domain. They would have they would be addressing you like esteemed professor over politeness. They're talking about groundbreaking research of yours, which probably you only started and probably you are not even working on that topic. In the email, it would claim that the impact factor is very high. Probably a journal like this does not exist. Then it would have mentioned that it guarantees publication in maybe a week, in fewer number of days, discount. The email talks about publishing your paper urgently. When something like this comes to your inbox, beware, these could be fake. Most probably, these are fake journals, predatory journals. So do not fall prey to such journals. So you need to know how to identify journals. First step is to identify legitimate, proper, credible journal and differentiate it from predatory journals. We do not want to submit in predatory journals, right? So if you go to the website of these predatory journals, you could see a trend like poor design, broken links, maybe a Gmail address, no phone number, fake names, affiliations. If you recheck, it would be fake. It might be guaranteeing you a very rapid review process. And those of you who have published or in the process of publishing, you know that it takes much longer, 3 to 6 months, or maybe even longer in real time. Then these predatory journals also claim certain things without proof, such as indexing. It might claim to be indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, Science Citation Index journals, PubMed Index journal. They might have made up impact numbers, but you should know how to verify these things and identify predatory journals and ignore them, delete them from your list. So you could go to sites like Think, Check, Submit, or you could also, along with Think, Check, Submit, you can go to the university website or the PDF that university would have uploaded that talks about the list of journals that is accepted. And you could also go to DOAJ, and there are many articles, editorials by journals like Nature that talks about how to identify predatory journal, how not to publish it. And there's a concept of publish and be damned if you're publishing in predatory journals. So we need to be mindful about staying away from predatory journals and select the credible journals for a submission. That they have an idea of what predatory journal is and why you should not submit it. Let's see how to identify credible journals. How do you check whether it is a good fit, whether the journal that you're going to select is a good match? Number one, check whether your study, your research falls into the scope of the journal. Does your topic fit? That is number one. Number two, check the indexing of the journal, whether it is Scopus, PubMed, or Science Citation Index, or any other indexing that you're looking. I'll tell you how to verify it with the original source. Number three, check with the timeline reality. The journal might be saying that it will review, its first round of review will get over in 4 months, and maybe you have a requirement of, say, 2 months, or an earlier requirement for your maybe promotion, your research grant, funding, all those things. So you have to always match whether the journal you're submitting has a turnaround time that matches your timeline requirement. Then, very important thing, the cost analysis. Can you afford it? Which type of subscription are you going to submit? Are you going to submit to a subscription type model, or are you going to look into open access model when you're considering a journal? And do you have funding? Does your university support? Does your research group have funding enough to support for the journal? Open access payment is one more thing you need to check. Or do you prefer to submit it to a regular submission model? That's another thing you need to decide. And the final thing that you have to check, we'll look into each topic detail after this. The final step you have to check is whether the type of journal, the type of indexing that you're choosing is a good match for your career level at this current stage. So, the first reason why your paper gets rejected, why it undergoes desk rejection, is because very often the topic that you've chosen does not match the scope of the journal. For example, you have done a research uh, in gingivitis patients and you want to see the effect of herbal mouthwash. And if you are submitting it to an international journal of surgery or a surgical journal, it will be a bad fit. And a better fit would be a journal like Journal of Clinical Periodontology, where it accepts studies related to gingivitis, where regularly publishes studies related to herbal mouthwash and other related topics. So what do? You identify your journal, go to the journal website, read the aims and scope. So time taken to select the journal will finally help you in saving a lot of time when you're submitting your paper. So go to the aims and scope and read and understand whether paper that you're submitting, the topic of the paper that you're submitting matches the scope of the journal. Again, go to the journal website, check the impact factor, check the ISSN number, and there are websites that I will tell later in this discussion where you can go and recheck these ideas, these information. Now here you will also click on the about section, click on the contribute section, read about the journal, read about the editorial board, the contact details, read the author guidelines, where it will be given very clearly what are the types of articles they accept. Sometimes you tend to submit a narrative review, and when you read author guidelines, you would read that it's written unsolicited reviews are not accepted. Then there's no point in sending a narrative review or any kind of review to a journal like that. Again, author guideline tells you the type of journals it accepts, the type of referencing that should be used, the guidelines to be followed while preparing your manuscript. Sometimes even the template that you should use will be given. So while you're deciding your journal, do go through the journal website and read all this information carefully. And you could even have an Excel sheet where you're making a note of these, so that next time when you're looking for other journal, you know what each journal talks about, what each journal scope is, what each journal's turnaround time, etc. is. That is number one, to check the scope of the journal that you're submitting, whether it matches with your topic. Number two, indexing essentials. This is something that you have to check. What is your requirement? Does your university or your research group or your funding agency or your supervisor ask you to submit your paper in a Scopus Index journal? Or is your requirement to submit in PubMed journals? Many of the good medical researchers are published in PubMed journals. Scopus journals are also considered to be very good level. Then there are certain funding agencies that would say that should publish in impact journals. Then you should go for science citation index journals, which many of the top international journals come in this category of science citation, SCIE, science citation index expanded journals. And there are other types of journals which are again Web of Science indexed, but they are emerging science citation index journal, which means they have not received an indexing. They're in an initial level. So these are certain criteria that you have to consider when you're thinking about the indexing of the journal. Number one, scope. Number two, indexing. Now, you would see indexing in the journal website, but don't go by that alone. So go to the journal website, find the indexing page. Note the ISSN number, which is usually found in the home page. Then go to the database where you want to recheck. Suppose you want your paper to be submitted in a Scopus Index journal, and your journal says it's Scopus Index. Take the ISSN number and go to scopus.com, and there you enter journal name or the ISSN number and verify whether it appears in the Scopus database. Same way you can do for PubMed index and any other indexing that you are looking for. So the thing you have to remember is, do not trust journal's claim alone. Always verify independently by going to that particular database. Let's look at an example. You have chosen to submit your paper in a journal called Journal of Dental Research. Those who know about it, it's a very credible journal. So I'm just helping you navigate through a typical journal website. Go to the journal website, check what is the index factor given there, impact factor given there, what is the ISSN number. So when you click on abstract and indexing, you will see a page like this where it says which all places is this particular journal indexed. So here you can see that it is indexed in Clarivate Analytics, Science Citation Index, Scopus, PubMed, etc. Now this is a very credible journal, but you don't know whether it's credible or not. You would want to go to the database and recheck. So what do? If you want to check your journal is indexed in Science Citation Index, then you should go to Master Journal List. If you want to check the Scopus indexing, if you want to verify the Scopus indexing, you will go to scopus.com/sources and type the journal name. If you want to check the PubMed indexing, you will go to PubMed NLM catalog, type the name of the journal and click on it to see. We will look at all three scenarios one by one. Go to Master Journal List, Clarivate Analytics Master Journal List. A page like this will open up. So you have to type mjl.clarivate.com. A page like this opens up. Type the name of your journal, type the ISSN number, give search. If it is indexed in Web of Science, Science Citation Index journals, an output like this will come up and you can verify the details of that particular journal. If you want to check your paper is indexed in Scopus or not, you can type scopus.com/sources. It will direct you to a page like this where you can select based on title, based on ISSN number, based on publisher or your subject area. So this is typically how the information would appear when you're searching. For example, you select title from the drop-down menu on your extreme left side, and you enter the title such as dentistry. For example, dentistry, it will give you all the journals with the name dentistry, and you select whichever journal you're looking for and click, and you can verify whether that particular, so you can verify journals that are already there in Scopus like this. What you can also do is you can click on these filters that you see on the left side, like minimum citation, which quartile is your paper coming in, Q1, Q2, whatever, select it, and you can see a display like this. You can also select the journals from this list and export it to Excel. You can see here the green line, and again you can download the whole list of Scopus source journals. Again, another green line, you can see that. So these are methods by which you can go to the journal, you can go to the database and check whether the journal that you have decided actually exists in that indexing system or not. Third one, PubMed. If you want to check whether your paper is PubMed indexed or not, go to PubMed, and from this drop down menu, select NLM catalog. You can see on the top left side, NLM catalog, and then click there, and you can type the name of your journal or the ISSN number that you're looking. For example, I wanted to check whether oral surgery, oral medicine, oral pathology, and oral radiology journals PubMed index or not. So I type the whole name. After this, I type the whole name. And when I clicked, the name of the journal came. And when I clicked on the link, page like this opens. So this is how you verify if the journal that you've selected actually exists in PubMed index database or not. And another important thing is you see the arrow where it says whether your journal is currently indexed in this database. That is also important. So currently indexed in Medline. So Medline is the actual thing. PubMed is just your search engine to reach there. So two steps you saw how to identify. You saw how to check the scope and you saw how to check the indexing. Now, timeline reality. Sometimes you don't have much time before you publish your paper. While I always suggest that you plan your research and paper much in advance, because these are things that are not within your control. So you might need a lot of time to submit and the paper to get accepted. Anyway, let's understand typically how things work. Suppose you identify a journal and submit your work. Initially, the editor reviews it, goes through editorial review. Then if he decides that the paper is credible, has good methodological rigor, and would be good to consider, he will pass it on for peer review, where 2 or 3 reviewers will go through your paper. There's a whole process of peer review, and then they send in their decision, whether major revision, minor revision, or rejection. Whatever is the decision, you will act based on that. And then if it's a revision, you do the revision and you resubmit. These revisions can be 1, 2, or 3 usually. Then you get the final decision, which means at least this is like a very optimistic 16 weeks have written. That is 4 months. It can go up to 6 months, 8 months. We've had experience. I'm sure many of you senior professors also have had experience that your paper is taken maybe around 12 months also to get published. So the point here is to tell you that the whole peer review process, a credible peer review process, goes through this whole process, which means when someone claims your paper can be peer reviewed and published in 48 hours, don't fall for it. No one can give you a guarantee for acceptance. And if someone says this paper does not need peer review, do not publish in such journals. So average time and rigorous peer review takes time. So be mindful of the timeline also when you're selecting your journal. Fourth important point is to consider, what are we discussing? We are discussing framework to select journals, scope, indexing, timeline, cost analysis. APC is article processing charges. Now, earlier there used to be only submission-based model publications where the author writes, has to pay nothing. The reader has to take the subscription of the journal to get access to the research paper to read. Now there is another model called the open access model, where the author who writes also pays for the processing of the article, for the peer review process, for the production management, and long-term archiving of the article. So there are publishers who charge APC charges. Now these charges can range from very small amount to very huge amount. So when you're considering your journals, you should also consider the type of journal, whether they take an APC charge or not, whether your journal has an open access subscription model or not, or do they have open access model, subscription model, or a hybrid model where you can select between both. So you can go through many journals which have subscription model. There are other regional journals where you can consider submitting, even if it has an open access journal, the APC charges would be much lesser. You could consider journals like PLOS or BMC, where they have a hybrid publication model. Of course, there are many top journals which will have high open access fees, APC fees, and if you have proper funding or if you have university support, you can go ahead with. So the point is to show there are various categories of journal from which you can select. Another important thing is do check out the One Nation, One Subscription platform to understand more about the support that you can get in terms of selections. Also, your institution would have agreement with some journals. So do check if you are eligible to publish or submit in those journals. Many journals are which are processing their research papers under open access mode and charge an article processing fee do have a provision to give waiver. Suppose if you're a student or you're from a low or middle income country or you are undergoing financial hardships, you can write a cover letter mentioning your position and maybe also get it recommended by your superior, senior, or your head of the department. There are many journals that will give you, that will consider a full waiver or a partial waiver. So you could consider these also when you are looking for journals that are open access. They have an APC. You could write to the journal and you can see if you can get a waiver. The fifth and the final point that you will consider while selecting your journal is to see if the journal you're selecting matches with your career stage. Why did I say this? Because at different stages of your careers, your requirements are different. For example, you're a first or a second year PG. If you want to publish in impact factor journals, it's really good. I appreciate it. And that's a very, very good mindset. But remember that when you're starting off, when you're learning the process, when you're trying to get your first few publications done, it's very much okay to start with regional journals, journals that are listed by your university, journals that are recommended by UGC care guideline, or it could be a case report. For example, a case report you are submitting in a specialty journal or a conference proceeding if it's accepted by your department or a university. So based on your career stage, decide the level of journal, the tier of journal, the indexing of journal that you would like to go ahead. So impact factor is very good, important in your CV, in your research career to get your jobs, your promotions, your funding. These are very important, but they're not the only thing. So do consider these points, do consider the stage in which you are while you're choosing a career. Then, if you are an intermediate researcher. For example, you are a final year student, PG student, or a PhD scholar, and your focus is not to get started. You've already gotten started. Now, in the process of building your strong CV. If that is your goal, then you should definitely look at more and more Scopus Index Journal, PubMed Index Journal. It could be middle tier international journals, but they are Scopus or PubMed. Definitely always go for peer-reviewed index journal. Peer-reviewed index journal. Remember, if you're doing your original research or evidence synthesis, systematic literature review, etc., you can. So, looking at impact factor journals, you know, the higher the impact factor is, the more difficult it gets for you accepting. So, an impact factor of 1 to 3 is generally considered great, especially in healthcare. When you go to other specialties, they have many journals with much higher impact factor. We do have journals with higher impact factor, but in your CV, if you have Scopus Index journals or impact journals with impact factor 1, 2, 3, 4, or up to 8, it's perfect. It's absolutely great and wonderful. And if you are an advanced level researcher, you're a faculty, or if you are a postdoc and your aim is to now have high impact publications only, then do select journals based on with higher impact factors, and that would be really great for your CV. So we saw how to select the journal after preparing your research manuscript, how to select your journal based on the alignment of your topic with the journal scope, based on the indexing of the journal in PubMed Scopus or Science Citation Index journal, based on the publication and review timeline. You also saw how to select journal based on the APC charges, whether it's affordable or a waiver is applicable and available. We also saw how to identify appropriate journal based on your current stage. We saw different databases where you can go and recheck. What recheck whether the journal exists or not. Now, suppose your scenario is something else. You don't even know the name of the journal, but you want to identify certain suitable journal based on your abstract and manuscript. Then what do? Then you go to certain websites by the publishers like journalfinder.wiley.com, journalfinder.elsevier.com, journalsuggester.springer.com, and or any journal publisher's website. You can go and you will be able to identify a link like this, and when you type in the link your abstract, your keyword, it will help you identify many available journals with all the details, that the framework that we discussed. Almost all the details will be available and you will be able to select a suitable journal. Coming to preprints, should you submit your paper in preprint? Now that is a question that one should answer individually based on his or her situation. What is preprint? It's actually considered it's the author's original manuscript. It's made publicly available on a repository or a server. So preprint is something that you have a research paper and if you're publishing it on a preprint website such as Archive or Biorex, anything, or Figshare, what happens is the day you are submitting, it becomes publicly available. It is available in public domain before it undergoes traditional peer review. So the advantage is that it is free of charges and it enables the researchers to share findings and establish priority before someone else takes priority over that particular research topic. But what is the point to consider? That preprints have not undergone peer review process. So do journals allow you to submit your manuscript if it was published in preprints alone? That you have to read in the author guideline. Many journals still accept if your paper has been published in preprint, but there are many other journals which clearly mention that if your paper has been already submitted in preprint, it cannot be considered as a new publication and be submitted. Okay, so I hope that is clear about preprint. To the next section where you are submitting your paper. So we saw how to select the journal, how to consider 5 framework points to select your journal. We also saw, if you don't know the name of the journal, go to sites like journalfinder.wiley or Elsevier or any other publisher that you're looking for. Type in your title, your abstract, keywords, and use a filter to identify suitable journals. Now you have finally identified your journal to submit. Now what do? You don't just go to the journal website and submit. There are some more things you need to do, some more preparations you need to do before you submit. Let's look what is it. Number 1, cover letter. There are many things you need to be careful about when you're preparing the cover letter. Why? Because when you submit a paper, the few most important things that your editorial team will go through before they decide to proceed with your paper or reject your paper. Number 1, the title, abstract, table, figure, cover letter, or it could start with cover letter, title, abstract, table, figure. If these 5 things make sense and tell a story, in all probability your paper will proceed, which means don't write a weak cover letter. Write a strong cover letter. Don't be lazy and just write "Dear Editor." I would suggest you go to the journal website where you're submitting, identify the name of the editor, which I showed in one of the slides, and personalize your email. Personalize your cover letter. "Dear Professor so and so." And do not copy paste letters from your previous cover letter without changing the name of the journal. It so happens that when you're very busy and you are frustrated that your paper got rejected, you want to resubmit it. We have seen the cover letters being submitted without the journal name being changed from the previous submission. So do that, and don't write sentences like, please go through our paper, we think it is good, accept it for publication. A better way of writing it would be, dear doctor or dear professor so and so, and customize your cover letter, mention what your research was about, and proofread what you're writing. Be concise. Consider giving your research findings in bullet points, because probably someone has only 30 seconds to go through your cover letter, 30 seconds to go through your abstract. So make it so interesting and relevant that someone who goes through it quickly can understand what you have done, what you have found, and whether your paper should proceed or not. So always include your ethical clearance number if it's a clinical study, original research study. Keep it short, be confident but humble. I didn't include your email, phone, and ORCID ID so that if there's any communication needed, that is done, and avoid mistakes that are given on the left side of it, so that your cover letter is impressive. And the cover letter and in other submission areas, you will need to include your ORCID ID along with your name, email, and contact details, especially if you're a corresponding author. So you go to this website and create an ORCID ID. ORCID ID is Open Researcher and Contributor Identifier. Why is it important? It is a unique number given to each researcher. It shows, it actually automatically links to all your previous research and your publication. So you can use it while you're doing your publication, submission, grants. Sorry, grants, ORCID ID, email. It can be used as your email ID also. Right. After you prepare these things, do make sure that you have all these documents ready before you proceed with the publication. So you have to prepare a title page. You have to prepare an abstract, preferably a graphical abstract also. Main text is already available in front of you. Acknowledgement document should be there. Author contribution, ethical approval statement, conflict of interest. All these details should be there in your, should be available with you before you submit. You should also have the data availability statement, funding details, references as per the journal requirement, supplementary documents. For example, you have several tables, but the journal has mentioned only 5 to 6 tables can be included, or 3 to 4 figures can be included. Then what do you do? All remaining relevant tables or information or figures that you want to submit can go into a supplementary file. So all these documents, including a cover letter, should be submitted when you should be prepared before you submit. You have to prepare a title page while submission. Many journals ask you to submit your title page as a separate document because of peer review, a blinded peer review. The journal does not want your details to go along with your research paper that is going for peer review. So a journal submission title page can be prepared separately during your journal submission. It should have information like full manuscript title or short running title, author's name, first author, second author, etc. Some journals ask you to have the degree also of the journals, the terminal degree. Some journals, or most of the journals, do not want. So do check at the journal site what is the trend followed and follow that. You have to include the affiliation and all the details of the corresponding author. Some journals also ask you to have additional information in the title page, such as word count, tables, number of tables, number of figures, conflict of interest statement, funding, etc. So do make sure you have all those documents ready. Now, assuming that you have followed the correct manuscript style, correct checklist, you have to submit that particular checklist also along with your other documents when you're submitting it to the journal. I hope you have seen our previous sessions where we have said how to use this particular website. So if you are preparing a randomized control trial for submission, you could download this consort statement and make sure that, once again, make sure that your manuscript is written as per the consort checklist. And on the checklist reporting guideline, at the extreme right side, you have a page. You have a column where you can write the page number, introduction, page number 1 to 3, methodology 4 to 5. So that's called a reporting checklist. That checklist also has to be uploaded along with other documents in the supplementary file. That should be okay. Again, before submission, there are many other things. So we have not submitted. We are only talking about preparing the documents like your cover letter, your title page, and then making sure that your manuscript is written as per the correct reporting guideline. And when you're checking that, also check that the language is correct. You have written correct language, English is correct. And if you want, you can use tools, paid tools or AI softwares to recheck the flow, language, spelling, grammar, consistency of your document. If punctuation, even a small punctuation is wrong, it can make different sense, like let's eat grandma versus let's eat, comma, grandma. Or I love cooking my family and my pets. You can always be considered a psycho if you don't put proper punctuation. So make sure that you use proper punctuations, your language is correct, the grammar is correct, there is flow, there is coherence, and there is consistency in your document, in the manuscript that you've prepared. Now, many journals want your similarity index to be pretty low because they don't want you to copy paste from different articles and just put it in your manuscript. They want you to refer different articles, uh, make sense of the findings of the study, and write it in your own words when you're writing. So you should typically keep your similarity index or the plagiarism index below 15 or so. There are some journals that are very stringent and they ask for similarity index of 10 or less. Some journals are pretty more relaxed, 20 or so. Whatever it is, you can use tools like Turnitin or Authenticate even better. If your institution has Authenticate, you can check the similarity index and make sure that, when you're submitting your manuscript, your similarity index is not very high, so that doesn't get returned to you for correction. So you could use Authenticate or DupliChecker or Turnitin, or there are other tools like Pangram or Zero GPT. Now, some people do use certain softwares to make all these corrections, such as you can use SciSpace to do all these corrections before you're submitting. But whenever you're using AI tools, whether it's Grammarly or whether it's SciSpace or whether it's any other tool to check the language, to correct the language, to correct the flow or editing, you should mention it in the cover letter and in the disclosure that this particular AI tool was used in this particular process. So disclosure is needed. Once again, go to the author guideline of the journal website and recheck that you have prepared your manuscript properly according to the author guideline. Recheck whether the journal follows a open access model or if it's a subscription model. Make sure you've checked all this and then proceed to submit. So till now we saw how to make sure you have identified the correct journal based on your indexing and other requirements. Then we saw how to prepare the documents necessary before you start submitting to the journal. We saw a list of documents that need to be prepared. And then once you've identified the journal, you go to the journal website and you can start submitting. Click on Start a New Submission after making your account. Sign in, make an account, and then click on Start Submission. So To make your account, you will need to give your email ID. Preferably, you give your institutional email ID because it's considered more credible. Complete the ORCID integration, and that will help you save a lot of login time. Then you start your new submission. You have to select, every journal has a different layout, but generally, you will have to select from the article type, original research, or whether it's a narrative review or a case report or one of those. Read through the instructions once again carefully and start entering manuscript details. So keep all your documents ready so that you can copy paste and you can enter the details, such as the title. Now, one thing you have to verify is being consistent. To be your documents should be consistent, whether you're talking about the title or the abstract or the keywords. It should be consistent, means it should match with what you've written in the cover letter, your title page, your journal submission, whatever it is. I hope you got the thing. Otherwise, what happens? It comes back to us. So you're losing time. The journal sends it back saying the title mentioned in the cover letter is not matching with that what is entered in the website. It might be a small mistake like in or a or maybe periodontal disease versus periodontitis. Something so minor, but it comes back to you. It might you never know whether it gets even rejected, but usually it comes back to you. So make sure that you're just copy pasting, not typing again. Copy paste title, copy paste abstract, check the word limit. Keywords also you check and make sure they are matching with mesh so that the journal can use it appropriately. Once you do all this, you start submitting your files. Usually, you can submit your documents as Word files, but sometimes some journals ask you to submit Word files and then PDFs also. So, cover letter submitted in Word or PDF. Title page with author name can be submitted as Word or PDF based on the requirement of the journal. Manuscript, the main text, usually is submitted as a blinded manuscript. That means there is no information about the author or the institute that the author is working in. Figures can be uploaded separately usually figures are uploaded separately unless the journal specifies in the website to upload the whole manuscript as a single document at the initial stage, and once accepted, upload figures separately. Still, I would recommend keeping your figures and tables properly prepared in separate documents and then upload as it is required. Figures, tables, and supplementary materials along with blinded manuscript need to be applied. Then you have to suggest reviewers, 3 to 5 reviewers. Experts name you can give who are not your co-authors or supervisors. You can find them from the reference list or from your conferences that you've attended, or you check for those names in the internet. And after you do all this and you recheck and recheck, check and recheck, and once again recheck, then you submit it. Before submitting, it will actually convert your submission into a single file, usually a PDF, for you to recheck once again. And once you have made all the corrections and verification, you can submit. And this whole process will take about 30 to 45 minutes for an experienced researcher if you have all these documents ready. Okay, so you got an idea how to select the journal, how to submit, and what is the process of submitting. Something about the reviewer's name to be suggested. Do not suggest your supervisors or co-authors. Don't think, oh, this person works with me. Let me give this person's name and email ID and he will review my work. It is unethical. You should not give your close collaborators' name. You should not give the names of the people who work with you in the same institution, or at least for the last 5 years, you shouldn't have actually worked with them if you're giving their name as a reviewer. Avoid conflict of interest, avoid giving fake email IDs. What you should do is get Give the names of people who are experts in your team as reviewers. One good idea would be to check the reference of the manuscript that you prepared. Go to that particular article and see who is the first author or the corresponding author. You can give their email ID and name. You need not know your reviewer. You should make sure that they're experts in your field. Same way, you can go to PubMed or Scopus to search for topic, look for editorial boards for email IDs of experts in your topic or researchers who have published similar work or international reviewers whom you have met in conference. And you also have a provision to exclude competitors if you are looking for filling that reviewer column. After doing all this, you have submitted your paper. What actually happens to your research paper, your manuscript, once it's submitted? What happens is it goes through this whole process of peer review, where when the author submits a paper, the editorial team goes through it first, and they do a technical check initially to make sure that all the necessary technical documents are available and are correct. Only then it will go on for editorial checking and then peer review. So once they clear the technical check, it goes to the editor. The editor decides whether it has to be rejected due to various reasons, or it can be sent to the reviewers. Once it goes to the reviewers will go through your manuscript based on a checklist to see whether your paper qualifies under various headings. And the paper comes back to the researcher in the form of a major revision, minor revision, or rejection. And after, if you're getting revisions, you go through the revisions, make those changes, and then you submit. So, what are the common reasons for the paper to get rejected? Number one, that very often the topic that you're submitting does not match the journal scope. Sometimes it happens, no, you submit in the morning and afternoon when you come back and recheck your email, your paper is already rejected. One main reason is it does not match the scope of the journal. Sometimes poor methodology, sample size, your paper not having any significant scientific contribution, not having a proper objective or a presentation can be a problem. So a lot of methodological problem, ethical problem, incomplete papers, or poor wrong statistical tests. These could be multiple reasons why your papers got rejection. So what do you do when your paper gets rejection? What do you do? We all feel upset when anything gets rejected, anything that we done have get rejected. But you know what you have to remember, that even the paper, even the topmost paper that you're reading today might have undergone rejection before it got accepted. So rejections and revisions are normal in our scientific publication line. So what you do is you read your rejection letter carefully. Day one, close it. Don't do anything that day. Next day, start working on your rejection letter. Don't take it personally. Convert my process is to convert the whole rejection letter into several points. Each point, 1, 2, 3, number them, and then answer to each of the query one by one. So do not take rejections personally. Do not take rejection letter personally. Try to improve based on the feedback. Very often journals don't allow you to resubmit if they have rejected, but you can always use the rejection letter, or you can use the detailed peer review process that was done and then paper rejected to improve your paper and resubmit it to your next journal. Now, when you are improving, it does not mean that you change the methodology of what was not done. It means improving the things that you can change. For example, the writing, maybe the data analysis can be repeated using the same data, better analysis, better representation of data, better writing style. So those things you can do, and do not give up because your paper got rejected. Now, sometimes it might not get rejected, but it comes with major revisions with long comments. Again, read your comments, and that day, don't do anything about it. Next day, with a fresh open mind, come and convert your comments into points, doable points, number all of them, and put it on a Word file and try and start answering every point. The whole process of peer review is to Respond to your reviewers' queries point by point. The keyword here is point by point. Do not miss any query, any question that your reviewer has raised. So, generally make a document like this where you are writing the reviewer's comments on one side. In the middle column, you can see your response to each comment. And in the extreme right side, you can even mention the page number and, if possible or if wanted, the line number also, so that it's easy for the busy reviewer to recheck your document against this reply to reviewer and make sure that you have addressed everything. Now you might not agree with everything that they say, and it's perfectly okay. If you think that what the reviewer suggests and you think is different, you can respectfully write to that with justification and it may be accepted. And after all this, once your paper is accepted, do go through your proof very carefully, because you have to recheck whether your proof, the data, the number, the details, the name of the author, the name and affiliation and the contact details of the author and all other information is correct after editing. You usually get about 24 to 72 hours after your paper is accepted for proof correction. Make sure the corresponding author does the proof and gets it verified by other authors also. Now, there are many other websites for you to read and understand more about how to prepare journals, and sources for editors and reviewers such as Scopus blog, or you can go to this website or by Elsevier. And there's a section called, many sections, useful section, but I would suggest you read about Researcher Academy, where you can understand a lot of new other concepts related to research manuscript preparation and journal submission. We come into the last section. We saw multiple things. We saw how to identify predatory journals. We saw how to identify predatory journals and keep them away from us and not to fall prey to that. Do not publish your work in predatory journals, because they are fake journals, they are blacklisted journals. It affects your credibility and your research journey. Identify credible journals using the 5 framework that we gave, and identify and decide on which journal you want to prepare. Then you prepare your documents. Then finally, after you prepare your documents, you start your submission process. So this is your final plan of action, that you identify. Day one, identify your journals based on the strategies that we discussed and the tools that we discussed. Evaluate and rank the journals. So don't just do this for one, do for 3 to 4 journals and keep the name standby ready. And you eliminate predatory options and rank your top 3 journals. Go through the cost and other parameters of each journal. Prepare all the documents as we discussed in detail and submit your paper, and double check everything before you hit submit. So that brings us to the end of today's session on journal submission and selection and submission guidelines. We'll see you very soon next week with another topic on systematic review simplified using AI enhanced workflow. Till then, thank you so much, and stay tuned, and we are here to answer your queries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
So,
Yeah. Now session is open for the question and answers. Audience. Yeah, one question is from my side, and Dr.
yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Highest impact factor journals like Cancer Journal of Clinicians, impact factor is more than 200. Like the Lancet, impact factor 168. New England Journal of Medicine, impact factor 158. So how will you proceed, or how will you publish such a high impact factor research article in the journal? Can you give some tips? So because I tried in a Nature, nearby our 50 impact factor journals as a review article, but I am not success, still I am trying. So as per your experience, can you suggest which direction where to work?
I congratulate you on the efforts that you've taken, sir, to submit to such wonderful top tier journals. Congratulations. And first thing would be, if our paper is getting rejected from top tier journals, we read through the rejection to understand the reasons why they have rejected.
Yes.
Now, it starts from topic selection. There are various factors why our paper could get accepted or could not get accepted in top tier journals. So it could be the journal topic selection, the
Yes.
high and cutting edge technology. Probably they're looking for publications that are talking about cutting edge technologies. Maybe we could go to the previous 2-3 months publication and see what are the type of topics they are publishing, what are the type of review articles they're doing. Again, in very high top tier journals, you cannot simply submit review journals. So a good practice would be actually, sir, to write to the editor before submitting that this is our topic, this is our abstract.
Yes.
Could you please guide if this topic can be considered for peer review in this journal? So that would be a good way to go ahead. And I wish you all the best in your submissions.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Other question is, just this is my personal question.
Yes, sir.
Now, most of the time, Nobel Prize winners are Western countries. Very few Indians are, if you see the history. So, what is the lacuna or which direction we have to work? Because in India, IIT, CSR Lab, Defense, ISC Bangalore, there are topmost research organizations in the world ranking university. So we have a lot of facilities. Still, we can't get such a type of prestigious award in different areas, like in medicine or in aerospace or in defense sector. What is your personal opinion?
In healthcare, I would definitely say that if the amount of funding can be increased to increase the facility, research facility that we can give to our researchers, and all that is number one, and also collaboration with international universities and giving facility to our researchers to travel abroad and present our work. That is also, the visibility is a very important factor, sir. So why our study, many of our studies are reaching, but if we want a better reach for our studies, definitely investing more into healthcare research, healthcare education, and funding our work and making it visible in the global scenario will be very important.
Thank you. Other question is, shall I submit single research article in different journals or publication at a time?
That is considered unethical. It should
Yeah.
not be done. A
Yeah.
journal should be selected and submission of a research paper should be done only to one particular journal at a time. And I would like to add one thing, that when we are preparing the cover letter, there is a sentence that we usually write in the cover letter that this research paper has been verified by all authors and has not been submitted simultaneously with any other journal. Currently, it's under consideration only in this particular journal. So there's a declaration also that we give in the cover letter. So journals, only one journal should we submit our paper at one given point of time.
But madam, most of the time at the submission of PhD thesis, most of the organizations require the one or two publications. If you send that paper in single journal, after 6 or 8 months, we get the rejected reply. So that is a wastage of time. So in that, for this problem, what is your solution? What do you think?
One would be, sir, to write to the editor before submission to see if this particular topic falls into the scope of the journal. Number two, write to the editor if you're not getting any reply related to the peer review, say after 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. And if you're not getting any reply for the after next few communication, I would suggest that you can even write to the editor that you would like to withdraw due to this reason and resubmit it. Sometimes what happens, you write a letter to the editor about withdrawal and they respond saying, okay, we understand, you can withdraw and resubmit. Sometimes they do not respond. In that case, write a withdrawal letter twice, and if they don't reply to you, consider that they are proceeding with it, and you can then pull out your paper and resubmit it somewhere. So this is definitely a challenge for PhD researchers where they have
Yes.
less time and they need to publish. So you can write to the editor if you're not hearing from them.
Yes. Thank you. Other question is, previously, if you see last 10 to 15 years, high impact factor journals or scopers journals, they don't have any processing charges. But nowadays, most of the scopus journal or high impact factor journals were to pay the high processing fees. So why this happened?
This has happened because the publishing companies have changed their model, publishing model. Earlier, it was only subscription, and now they are taking charges for managing the journal, managing the peer review. But sadly, even if they're taking charges from the authors, the researchers who are doing peer review are not getting compensated for the work they are doing. So to make the articles available as open access, that is why the APC charges are being taken. So there are two models which we can choose from which we want to select. But definitely, if universities can come up with rules allowing researchers, especially PhD scholars, to publish in certain journals where there are no APCs, that will help them to speed up things faster.
Yeah, Dr. Joseph, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Patai. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. One more session on behalf of all of us, Dr. Joseph. I mean, I would like to sincerely thanks to you and the supporting members, our team members, and the authorities who are allowing us and giving the full wholeheartedly support to go continue with this. And this is the ocean of the knowledge where the research is still going on. And we'd like to have some offline sessions also where we can work out on that, as you discussed, where the systematic review and meta-analysis are still untouched area. So about this particular session, I would like to say that it's definitely made a complex process of journal selections and submission is much little more clearer and more structural. And after all, it is the experience that how many journals you are approaching, what kind of the research you are doing, and what is your agenda ultimately, covering the points or just being a researcher. So that will be again personal preview as an academician or researcher for any faculty attached to any institutes. But thank you so much for taking one more these sessions. And thank you for all of you and one and all for attending this particular session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much and see you all next week. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.